My review of the Beach Boys album, The Beach Boys Love You. It was released in 1977, produced by Brian Wilson. This is another one of the ones I had on the twofers with 15 Big Ones. And when I got this one, I definitely liked Love You better. Um, this album's kind of similar to 15 Big Ones, and that it can almost be kind of considered a Brian Wilson solo album that like the other guys just sing on. Brian plays, I think, most of the instruments on here, even though Dennis and Carl, I guess, do play a few. I'm not really sure what's who because I've never been able to find anything that says. But there's a lot of like this album's a really different sounding album than anything they've made before. Brian was getting into these like synths and stuff on here. I think it sounds really cool. I could see where some people might not think that. Also, their vocals on here. Brian and Dennis are in their kind of rougher voice singing stage. I really like the way they sound on this album. I like the way they sound when they were younger too, but I still think they can obviously, like, they know how to sing. It's just that, like, their voices are just a little crustier than they were before. But I think they sound really good. The other guys obviously all sing on and they all sound pretty much the same. So, yeah, really great album, I think. But it's also, I guess the other thing I'd kind of mentioned before going into the songs is, unlike Pet Sounds, Brian writes all the lyrics on here. So it's very kind of like the Brian writing style, his just weird kind of quirky, childlike style, which it's sort of I guess some people probably think it's like the lyrics in this album is just like way too weird, and that kind of like kills their enjoyment. But I kind of enjoy the weirdness. I think it's entertaining. So the first song, "Let Us Go On This Way," is sung by Carl and Mike. I think it's a strong opener, but I don't think it's like the best song on the album. But it's a good, memorable way to start the album. And I feel like the first half of this album sounds a little bit different than the second half, and I kind of like the second half better. But the first half, I don't think like the synth stuff is as noticeable as it is on the second half. The second song, "Roller Skating Child," has vocals from Mike, Carl, and Al. I think I like Al's like kind of part on this the best, but I think it's a catchy song for the second song. Yeah, I couldn't think of much else to say about it. The third song, "Mona," Dennis vocal, and this is another one that I like a lot, but I couldn't really think of anything to say about it. I think it's a catchy song. Gets stuck in my head a lot. The fourth song, "Johnny Carson," I think is just like completely a masterpiece. The song is it's just such kind of like ridiculous, but just great. Might be my favorite song on the album, but probably not because there's so many songs I love on this album that it's really hard to pick one. But it's a really funny song. It's just really entertaining. The fifth song, "Good Time," is by Brian and Al. It's kind of an older recording. I can't remember when, and I didn't write down where it was from, but it has like Brian's younger, more like high-pitched singing voice on it, because he sings like the main part, and I think Al sings the other part. It kind of sounds different from the rest of the album too, production-wise. It definitely sounds like something that was recorded a little bit or at a different time once you know. But when I didn't know that before, like, I thought it fit into the album fine. And I still think it fits like into the album fine, and it flows well with the album. It kind of just fits the overall vibe of the album too. It's the kind of weird Brian vibe. But yeah, pretty good song. The sixth song, "Honkin' Down the Highway," sung by Al. Another one I really like, and this where kind of I think where like the synth stuff becomes more noticeable on the album. Like, and this one think it sounds really cool. Like just the whole like instrumental track on this album is really cool. The seventh song, Ding Dang, is kind of ridiculous. It was written by Brian and Roger McGuinn, and so like I remember before getting this album, I'd read a review of it and read that there was a song that was written by Brian Wilson and Roger McGuinn. And I was all excited because the Byrds are my other favorite band, and Roger McGuinn's the leader of the Byrds. So I was just super excited because I was like, oh, two of my favorite musicians, the leader of the Byrds and the leader of the Beach Boys, writing a song together. It's going to be brilliant. And then I hear it, and it's like this, how long is it? 57-second like thing, and I was just like, what the hell is that? The first time I heard it. But I've actually grown to think it's also another kind of minor little masterpiece. At 57 seconds, it's just like insanely catchy, and there's like a lot going on with the sounds in it, and I don't know, it's really entertaining, but it's just, I mean, it's just short, kind of silly thing that they probably weren't being too serious when they wrote. I think they were, I don't know, maybe had some help with it. But yeah, just really weird. But great in a weird in like a great way. So yeah, Ding Dang, just really weird. The eighth song, Solar System, another one I really love. I love Brian's vocal on it. I could see where some people kind of wouldn't like the newer like way Brian sings, but I think it's cool. And the lyrics, they're kind of like silly, but I don't know. I think they're really entertaining. It's like completely Brian, and the sound of it, the sound of the music's so cool because it does kind of like sound like the solar system and just like makes you think of space, and it's really cool. It's really cool to listen to with like some headphones on, which really like I would actually like all this like later part of the album with the synth stuff sounds like really cool with headphones. The ninth song, The Night Was So Young, sung by Carl. The vocal one I think is great, and just another one where the like instrumental, the music track on it's just really cool, and it's got this like I don't know what all's on, like it's supposed to be like trying to sound like, or what the synths and stuff are trying to like replicate, but it's got this weird like almost Eastern sounding thing on it that just sounds really cool. But definitely one of my favorite songs on here. The 10th song, I'll Bet He's Nice, is sung by Dennis and Brian and Carl. So my handwriting here, like it's really bad. Plus my pen was not working over this page of the paper for some reason, and I like can't read what I wrote, and I'm kind of blanking on what I was gonna say about it. But it's like half words because my pen kept not writing over it. Like it would write in a certain place and then it would just stop writing. Yeah, this song, I really like it. I think no, well, it has a really cool instrumental like backing too. But hearing the three of them sing together is just really cool. Their voices just blend so well. The three brothers, and so I just any time that those three sing together, I think it's a great song. The 11th song, Let's Put Our Hearts Together. So it's really late. Brian sings this with his first wife, Marilyn, and it's kind of a song that it took me a while to get into. I think it took me a while to get used to her voice. Not that she's a bad singer or anything. It's just took me a while to kind of get used to it, and it's not like a super catchy song, but it's a nice kind of like sweet little song that they do together. Um, the 12th song, I Want to Pick You Up, I think it's about like Brian singing, or Brian wrote about his kids. Um, he sings it with Dennis. Another one of those ones is weird Brian lyrics, but I think it's really catchy, and instrumentally the instrumental thing sounds cool, and Brian and Dennis singing together sounds really good. Even though this is a rougher kind of crustier time for their voices, I still think they sound really great together. The 13th song, Airplanes, actually, like, it's the one song on this album that I'm not super into. Like, I don't dislike it, I don't have any problem with it, but I kind of always forget it, and it's definitely the one I've listened to the least, because I couldn't even remember it tonight when I was looking at the thing. I was like, what's that one sound like again? And then I remembered once it came on, but still, it's the only one, only song on the album that I can't like sing along with word for word. And yeah, it's not a bad song, but it's just I like the instrumental part more than I find the like vocal melody catchy or anything. So it kind of just, I kind of forget it because I don't remember the vocal melody. The 14th song and final song then, Love Is a Woman, I think is a great closer. I think that another one where the instrumental parts were like really cool. It's got, I don't know if it's a saxophone on there or if it's some like making that noise with the keyboards or whatever, but it sounds really cool. And Brian's vocal on it I really like. Once again, like, it's the newer Brian sound, but I think he sings really great on it, and I think Mike sings some parts too, and he sounds good. The lyrics, another one, is kind of the Brian lyrics of the album. They're all kind of strange, but I think that it's just it's a really kind of I don't know, just it's a really great album. I could see why some people wouldn't like it with the weird lyrics and the way it sounds, and it's definitely like really different sounding from Pet Sounds. I think Brian himself like really likes this album, and I read somewhere that he even said that like this is the album people should listen to after Pet Sounds, and I'm not sure about that exactly because it sounds so different. Like it sounds nothing like Pet Sounds. So I think that like Pet Sounds is very, I don't know, like a really kind of pretty serious album, where this is like, I don't know, it sounds really cool, but I wouldn't exactly call it like a pretty sounding album. And then their voices are obviously a lot rougher than on Pet Sounds, where they sound like perfect. But I think that's a great album. I mean, honestly, I've listened to this album more than Pet Sounds. I think that I would probably, if I was going to choose like one to listen to, I think I would pick this one over it most of the time. I'm usually just more in the mood for something kind of, I guess, more like this, kind of strange. But yeah, I don't know. Like even Pet Sounds is not usually an album like that I've put on at like parties and stuff, or like hanging out with people. This album I put on all the time, and like drinking with friends and stuff. I put on this album because it's weird. But yeah, Beach Boys Love You. I think 5 out of 5 to me. It's